Present. Present. Here.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, nobody signed in for public comment, Andrew?
No.
No phone calls, no nothing?
No, sir.
All right. Well, we move on to item
Call our
number
county
3.
commission meeting to order
Yes.
this time. All 3 commissioners are present.
Okay, good. I was just getting ready to introduce you. Item number 3, county commissioners. Thank you, John, Rod, Larry, for making time out of your busy schedules to discuss what we believe is an important venture coming together that hopefully we can bring to fruition one of these days. Rod and I have been busy visiting with different municipalities and counties in regards to how their programs work, and we found some very interesting formulas and structures that seem to be working, for other municipalities. So, Rod, I'll let you go, and then, I can add to it as we address and, just kind of share with the commissioners what we found on
Sure.
our end.
Okay. Basically, I tried to kind of visit with surrounding counties that were, in our general area. I did have an interesting conversation with a county commissioner from Lincoln County, Kansas, who also, their board operates under a 501c3 board. Very happy with it. They have
Talking about their economic development.
Yep, economic development and Chamber of Commerce. Very pleased with how they operate. They have about $140,000 budget, I believe. I talked to so many people. I got to get my facts straight here. But Greeley County, another 501c3. The reason I gravitate toward the 501c3, a couple reasons. First of all, I got good reports, very good reports. They have community foundations embedded within the 501c3 nonprofit. And most of them are keeping a separate budget for that. Donations from businesses and individuals and to do community projects, and they've all been very pleased with that. In fact, Greeley County, I think John talked to them as well. They've exhausted theirs because they did a bunch of work on a theater down there, so that's community owned. So that was a good deal. Another thing that it opens up a lot of grant opportunities, more so than a governmental run organization can get.
Before we go any further,
Sure.
You said Lincoln County was combined Chamber of Commerce and ED. What about the Convention Visitor Bureau?
I'm not sure that they have a state-funded Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Okay, I just was curious. I didn't
Most counties have their own version of it. That doesn't mean they're getting funding from the state. We do. Well,
Through
not as
sales
a county,
tax.
but yeah, we've got the
bed tax.
bed tax. But anyway, grant opportunities. I remember the last time we all met, we talked about making a position for a director, a performance-based position. Well, since that time, I've had more conversations, and Andrew can probably attest to this, that, you don't always get businesses coming in. That can be a long, arduous process. Not that you can't have language providing for that in a contract, but the grant writing opportunities can bring in a lot of extra income for a director as well. Now, my opinion is, if you've got a busy director, they're probably not going to be sitting in the office writing grants, but they can. They have that ability to do that, get a percentage of the grants that they bring in. Any questions so far or comments before I? Yeah. I think the one thing going into this, we kind of looked at economic development. But to take it a step further, we seem to have an age-old problem of wanting the CVB and the ED and the chamber to be under one roof. Well, in talking with some people, not only can we be under one roof, we can be under one board. The 501c3, if we decided to go that route, could have the chamber, could have ED and CVB, all of course with separate budgets, but could operate under the same board. We would have to rewrite the CVB charter resolution to allow for that. Obviously, you're not just going to have someone from the hotel business on your board. You would want somebody that's been on the CVB board and knows operations, and they need a voice there. But that brings us to, board sizes, man, all over the chart. There's 5-member, 7-member, 9-member, 12-member. John and I talked about 5-member. I did some more thinking about that. I think that we need to reach out to Canarado, Edson. There may be people from those communities that would be interested in being on the board and having a voice as well. There may not be, but I think it should be offered, which could put us up to about a 7-member board, if you go that way. That's what I found out. Now, before we get too crazy about it, as county, I would ask the county commission, we know we got to get our budget done. We're starting on the 29th, I believe, and you guys are going to want to do the same. So I'm not here trying to get a decision. This is just informational. I think we need to see what we can do based on our budgets and see what kind of a package we could offer or what we could do. So that's step one, is get our budgets done. To get those evaluated and see where we're at. Of course, then we got to go through the attorneys, go through the legals, make sure everything's on the up and up there. We would then select the board. It can be as simple as you guys pick so many, we pick so many, then that board picks an at-large member, or we can sit down together and go through the board applications. We have to put this out for advertisement, let people show interest or not, and then proceed with getting that board established in a 501c3 if that's what we'd like to do. And that's the direction I'm leaning personally. I don't know how these guys feel. It just makes sense at this point, from what I know, and the people I've talked to. I haven't heard anything that says it won't work here. So I'd open it up to comments and questions. John, you got anything to add?
Well, yeah, I'd like to, first of all, I want to welcome Ron Harding for being here. Of course, Ron brings an extensive and in-depth knowledge for these boards and how CVB and Chamber and Economic Development, and I believe that you guys have a charter resolution, don't you, Larry? That I think that you can pretty much contextually assess, some of the things that we would like to, in moving forward, to accomplish or bring to manifestation. I've talked to budgets in communities all the way from $455,000, dollar economic, budgets. The smallest one being about $95,000. But after, Rod and I have done extensive communication since we've last, met, and I'm a firm believer that, that this 501c3, if structured in a right module, with the right board in place, can move this community, both the county and the city, to horizons that we've yet to experience. Number one, because we value and appreciate the support of the county, and I'm sure that the city commissioners will attest that anything at this time and point that we can work together and accomplish as two major entities would certainly benefit this community. But I found some interesting things in talking, like Rod has said. They're all over the board. I have no problem going with a 7 member board. Getting some expertise. And this, of course, would be a county and a city decision. But one of the things that I would like, and the city commission can pipe in anytime that they want to. But if we develop a 7-member board, I would like that particular board to have, jurisdiction in the day-to-day operational mechanics of however we choose to combine these entities. Those entities would answer, to one individual, and they would be, the ones that would be more or less, navigating with the county and the city commission having the authority to change board members in the event, that there's some constraints or we hit some hiccups, that aren't mechanically working appropriately to bring us, benefits. That's just my idea. I don't know how, the rest of the commission or how the commission, but by doing so, you involve, people from the school district, from the ag, from the county, from the city, from the school administration, Canarado, even, a member like Mr. Harding, who brings a variety of knowledge, and they can structure. Now, I think that we would have to develop the mission statement, because once we develop a mission statement, then we hand that over to the 7 or 5 board member, however, the majority would rule. And so then you've got something that they can, feed off of. But I think, that as county commissioners and city commissioners, our plates are full. And, even, have the city manager, on the committee, that evaluates these things. So these are just ideas that, that Rod. But one thing I do know, that, for him, from talking, to our neighbors to the east, they run about, I think it's $133,000 budget. And they've got some tremendous, ideas on, how they run. For example, they've got a program that, that they don't have to pay payroll tax, and it's called what they call flex spending, where instead of using the payrolls under that 501c3, they take that money and use it to pay their co-pays. And so, but they take, the insurance off of that budget. Things, to kind of that we would need to discuss, once we get formulated. But I believe that with all my heart that 501c3 is definitely the way, to go in order for us to be able to accomplish the vision, that we're trying to do here. So I open comments or questions from the county commission or the city commission.
I mean, I just want to say, I think everything that I've heard tonight, I like. I think it sounds good. I think that'd be a good direction to pursue and to see what we can come up with.
Thanks, Commissioner Thompson. JD?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. And the example I mentioned last time we met, as far as another county has similar, everybody has, whether it's 7 or whatever the number is, representation from every city in that county. And obviously, that's going to look different for every county, how many spots that is. But I think that's important to have that representation, business leaders, even a just lay citizen. And so everyone has a seat at the table and some say in it, I think is important. But I'm all in on it.
JJ?
I like the CO3 C3 thing too. I would just rather prefer just a regular, the board for the ED and the Chamber of Commerce, not making them all under one board. Just in the fact that there is more, they do different things completely for the same part. You know, and having a board having to deal with both of those things, it would probably just be easier to have a board just for the one and then the board for the other one. But otherwise, I think it's a great idea.
So let me just, expound on that a little bit. There's three ways that you can structure a 501c3. You go 100% public, you can go 100% public and private, or you can go 100% private. Now, the advantage that we have by going, the way Greeley County is formed is that you form a foundation. Right. And so what you would do at that particular point, you would actually eliminate the Chamber of Commerce. But they would be, for example, if you have 150 or 200 members that would come in at just $100, I mean, you'd be, expounding that budget anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000 more numbers to work with.
And I don't have a problem with that. I just having the board for the
Sure.
the economic development and for the chamber and CDB a different board. Just those two have two different boards for those two groups.
Mm-hmm.
But put the chambers in with the ED.
So that wouldn't accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. Ron, you might pipe in anytime that I know you have some expertise in that area too.
Well, I think it's been public perception for a long time. A lot of people don't understand what CVB does, okay? And the perception is that you do nothing, and we know that's not true. They do have a function, absolutely. Public perception is nobody can work together. Nobody gets along. Everybody's got to be in their own space. Everybody's got to be secretive about everything, all the projects going on. We can't share thoughts. We can't work together. So that would eliminate that aspect of it. Is ultimately that portion of it is the county's, pretty much to do with what we see fit. But it's going to be a lot nicer if we're all in agreement and understand the direction we want to go. We don't have to go that way.
You said that we can do with it what we see fit, but yet we have no control over it.
We can write the charter how we see fit.
Yes.
To perform that function, to allow for a more diverse board.
Just to be clear, you believe that we need to rewrite that charter resolution to include
yes.
So that we can bring in ED and the chamber functions into that one thing.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
My personal experience with the different boards, and I'd also ask, I guess, the county commission's input on the boards here, is that volunteer boards are getting harder and harder to fill in our communities. We have trouble filling city boards, and the idea of having all these different boards, I think just in practice, you don't get that much involvement from the community, as unfortunate as that is. And what I have seen with some of our city boards is that really the best way to keep and sustain a board is to give them more responsibility, to give them more to do. I think a lot of our boards, really the people who sign up are people who really want to make a difference, really want to sink their teeth into what they're advising on. And so, I mean, it almost gets to a point where at some board meetings I have to tell them to back off, they're getting so engaged. So I think the people that you get to sign up for those boards really want to do something, and that's something that we kind of undertook here at the city a couple of years ago, was trying to consolidate boards so that we had fewer boards, but we had those same group of people doing more. I think it's worked out pretty well, but do you guys experience the same thing at the county level where, I mean, boards are tough to fill in 2020?
No, I think you're spot on. I think a more, it gives you, there again, less boards, but doing more.
Right.
And I think people are engaged with that a lot better. It's not just, oh, I'll serve on the board, then, you know, maybe.
No one wants to show up once a month and do nothing.
No, exactly.
They wanna have some sort of power, some sort of
Exactly.
responsibility.
So, does the city, are all of you guys in favor of combining these things into one? You know, we get together and we talk about this stuff, and that's all we do is lip service, and then we go about our ways, and nothing ever happens. As you know, I'm kind of I wanna see things happen, let's get it done. If we're gonna do this, let's move forward.
Mhm.
Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
I am too.
Yes, I think I am, for
I'm
sure.
in agreement and lining up with what Rod said about the one board for the reasons he already, I don't think we're gonna look much different if we have
Well,
two
we could-
separate
we could-
ones.
We could try that and see if it works.
Yeah.
It's the only thing, doing nothing accomplishes the same thing.
I think there's
That
been,
means that we're gonna come back together 4 years from now, either us or different people, and talk about the same thing. So I guess at this point, I'd entertain a motion from the commission to.
Well, I wanna ask a question here first.
Sure.
So, on this charter resolution for the CVB, maybe I'm wrong, but I always understood from the state that it had to have so many members on that board from the food and hotel. Is that not true?
I've been advised by our attorney that the only stipulation is the budget.
Okay,
The budgets must be separate. The board can be structured pretty much however we see fit.
I see, okay, well, I wasn't clear on that.
And I think on those boards, Larry, I think you're right. We need to have people that own businesses that have some skin in the game, that are motivated and not necessarily own the business, but are participating in the business in some way. Is that what you found, Ron?
Well, okay, well, before we jump in with a motion, then this is just another thought. They have 5, we have 3, so if we're gonna pick a board, I think that the fair way, in my idea, was, let's just say we're gonna go 7-member board. So the county appoints 3, city appoints 3, then let those 6 people pick person at large. And I mean, that way, we all have equal representation in the game.
Yes.
But before we appoint that board, we would have to have a mission statement like what John said,
Absolutely.
that gives this board direction, because too many boards have no direction.
Yep.
So we gotta have a mission statement. This is what we expect from you guys. This is what you can and can't do.
Well, looking forward, that they're gonna have to have that anyway in order to start interview process with directors. You know, that's an important thing. We're not gonna be hiring the director if we go this route. That board will.
Exactly.
So they're gonna be going through the interviews. They're gonna be, you know, vetting.
And that goes back to, we have to do our budgets and see what we have for funding.
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys gotta see what you got, we gotta see what we got to see.
That's the first thing I got highlighted on my deal. We've gotta
If we
get
don't have any
the
money,
budget.
we can't do anything.
But I think to move forward, we need to agree that we're gonna rewrite this charter resolution to try to include
Try
these
to
things.
combine them.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think that's a direction that I would like to see us go, to at least move this thing off of first base.
Okay.
Okay, all right, I'll second. You made the motion, correct?
I did.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Motion
Good.
carried.
Thank you. I would also entertain a motion from the city commission to complement, the motion that the county's moved forward in, and to trying to bring this 3 entities under one board, and getting together and making a mission statement. And I like Larry's idea, 3, and then let that particular board, get whomever they want.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bromby. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Thompson. Mary, read the roll.
Thompson,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Ferris,
Yes.
Brumbaugh,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Ron, you were going to say something there before we were talking about economic development and all. Anything that you would like to share? I said, anything that you would like to share with us?
Well, I think this is a good move, certainly. There's a lot of models you can add as you develop your boards. You can add to that. You can use 501c3s if, say, you want to start another project. You can start a 501c6 if it's not going to fit. You can put those all together under your board. And the key, there's 2 keys. one, that key administrator, that right person. And two, is a knowledgeable board. And you want to decide, is this a working board or is this a management board? Because that determines how many you have. If it's gonna be a working board, it takes a few more people if they're gonna be hands-on. But the key is the staff that can manage the whole thing, that person,
Mhm.
to oversee all of it, that one person, to make the whole project work.
Well, and I think it would behoove the county to, have you help us, advise us on rewriting this charter resolution.
Be happy to do that. The model we use, it's out there. The Salina Chamber of Commerce and the Goodland Chamber of Commerce put the model together. The Salina Chamber of Commerce still uses it. And they've expanded it. They're even into human resources. And that's under a different entity within the organization. Grant writing, that's a separate staff person even. So you can expand your organization all under that board. So it works great. And you can just expand and expand whatever way, and you hope that happens. But you need that. So it's great that you're moving forward.
Thank you, appreciate your comments.
I think,
Happy to help.
I think being John and Rod have worked so diligently on this, I think it'd be a good idea if they worked and get a basic mission statement
Well, I
together.
think Rod, yeah, exactly.
That's what I was gonna mention. If you want, Rod, we can continue to get together and try to work on this, mission statements. It shouldn't be too much of a difficult, to find some models that work and then kind of, bring it to the county commission, city commission. They can make whatever changes they seem, necessary, something that would fit and work, adequately and progressively for Goodland.
Sounds good.
One other comment concerning the CDP board. That was, I wrote the resolution. That is done under home rule. You come out from under a lot of the state rules. You can do about anything you want to with it, as it is. So, that can be made workable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
If I could jump in quickly with just one question, kind of my burning question that I think would enlighten us on the city side from the county is, I think I made this known at our last meeting that yes, we're kind of up against a budget timeline now. We have budget considerations for us to look into. So I think it would help us to understand where the county is at as far as budgeting economic development dollars. Does the county budget currently have funding set aside for economic development that would be pivoted? Are you guys going to have to
Actually,
levy
shaking your head,
additional
yes.
or, okay,
How much money do we have? We have
50,000.
50,000.
We budget 50,000 every year.
okay.
Yeah. My thoughts are, obviously, you always have a wish list, but if we could find a little bit more, that'd be great. If we can't, we know we've always budgeted 50. John kind of alluded to the fact that, you need a good 95 to 150,000 is the numbers that I've heard. And I think we can get in there and have a pretty good program. And I think with some success and always luck, we'll see it prosper and we'll see it grow.
What's the
That's my hopes.
CVD bring in, Ashley, roughly?
Probably not much this year.
Considerably less, yeah.
While she's looking, what's you guys' budget been for economic development?
It has been it's been almost $200,000.
I was gonna say about 180.
With our 50, there's $250,000, we're in business,
There's a start.
right?
Well, I suppose that's the question. Are we taking our existing funds onto what you're doing? Is your existing funding coming out of what we're doing?
Well, it's a joint project,
Right,
it's what we're doing, together.
right. No, and I understand that, and so then but does that mean we fund this thing 50-50 together?
I would think so.
Cause then that'd be 100 and 100.
Be
That
equal,
would be the ideal
equal
situation.
representation
But
and equal.
I think, well, I can't remember, CVB brought in last year,
I was gonna say 135.
that's what I was saying, is
40,000.
135,000, so if we take that money for promoting tourism in Sherman County along with another 100 is a pretty substantial amount of money.
Well, there's only certain areas, only certain things you can spend that.
Yeah.
Best
It's gotta be
provision.
for promotion of tourism.
That's provisional, sir, so.
That's one area, I mean, I mentioned before in a previous meeting, it'd be nice to, you guys got the authority to do that, to say what that tourism is. I know a lot of places use that, some of that money to actually, construct something, build something, upgrade something, whatever it
And
is.
we've been
So,
authorized to do that,
yeah.
county attorney did research,
Yeah.
and we can use that money.
So I think getting back to your point, as far as what the public sees, some more tangible things, not that, you know, a lot of stuff is happening is good,
Correct.
but, that would answer some of those questions.
Well, that's all I have, unless anybody's got any questions or comments.
Good job,
Um,
Commissioner.
I'm trying.
So how soon do we want to meet again, guys? You know, we'll have the mission statement. We worked pretty aggressively.
John will
You know.
have that by Friday, next Friday. So.
No.
No, I think, don't you think we need to
Which
get our
John are
budgets?
you talking about? That John there.
Let's be clear, right? I think we need to hit the books, get the budget figured out and see where we're at, before we do a whole lot.
Well, we got the mission statement to do, budgets
Yeah.
to do, and then we've gotta come up
We
with,
got-
how we're gonna rewrite that charter resolution. So
Correct.
Your plate's pretty full,
It's full.
Commissioner.
It's full.
So the mission statement, I don't think will be too much of a, but the sooner we put that piece of the puzzle together,
Yeah.
you know, then the sooner we can start working with this
Do you think
administrative board,
Can
you
you
know.
two have that done by close of business tomorrow? Have that mission statement?
If
done?
you're not real picky.
I mean, they could
Sure.
probably
I bet
have
you-
one.
I bet you we could. I bet you we could.
When's your next meeting?
It's gonna be June
June 1st.
June 1st.
You
Ours
guys
is
wanna
the
get-
29th, but we'll be working on budget then, so.
You wanna get back together here with them June first?
That work?
I think,
Right.
I
Another
think,
joint meeting June first, and
That'll work.
sounds
we'll have
good.
some more details.
Good.
We trust you and this John and this Rod will have your homework. finished.
Formulated together. Yeah. Well, I'd like to extend the gratitude to the county commissioners for being here, but more than anything, for pioneering a new horizon that I think that in the years to come, you will see Goodland make strides and become a force which other communities would, you know, want to model. I think that, you know, working together as we have in these meetings speaks loudly, and I think the community will applaud us all for the fact of trying to use our tax dollars wisely and use them prudently to accomplish more things that have been accomplished in the past. So thank you, County Commissioners.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you guys at our next meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Mayor, second?
Yep, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you,
Thank
Larry.
you very much,
Rod.
guys.
Thank you, John.
Are you gonna
Commissioner,
save our
can you all get your
things?
mics on the way out? Just flip them on. Yeah. You can keep them.
Chuck 'em out the window.
Yeah, take them with you.
A memento.
All right. So we move on to item number 4, consent agenda. Item A, May 4th, commission meeting minutes. Item B, May 12th, joint commission meeting minutes. Item C, appropriation ordinances 2020-10, 2020-10A, and 2020-P10. I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion to approve A, B, and C of the consent agenda.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Howard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Gary. Any questions or concerns? If not, Mary, read the roll.
Harris,
Yes.
Brumbault,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes, thank you. Move on to item number 5, ordinances resolution 1565. Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. This was something we discussed at our previous meeting. The City Commission at that time had expressed interest in with the relaxing of state regulations, that we start allowing the general public back into our meetings. Doing so would go against the resolution the City Commission adopted on April 6th, which was Resolution 1563. So for us to start allowing just anyone outside of essential staff to start attending the meetings again, we would need to repeal that resolution, which is what is set out as actionable in Resolution 1565 before you. Would repeal the resolution effective June 1st, 2020, so essentially with our next meeting date, or upon the governor entering into phase 2, whichever shall come first.
Any questions or concerns for Andrew? Not, I will entertain a motion to accept resolution 1565, repealing the COVID-19.
I move.
Have a motion by Commissioner Thompson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Howard. Any concerns, questions? If not, Mary, read the roll.
Howard,
Yes.
Brumbault,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Harris, Garcia.
Yes, thank you. Item number 6, discussion COVID-19 planning. Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. This is again an agenda item just to allow commissioners to discuss as the COVID-19 coronavirus continues to manifest in different ways and change policy in our community. As I kind of sent an email out to the governing body last week, today the governor was, in her original timeline, supposed to move into phase 2, which would loosen a number of restrictions, and including going to a 30-person mass gathering number as opposed to an increase from the 10. However, last Thursday, the governor announced that she would not be moving into phase 2 today, that she would instead be moving into phase 1.5, which did allow kind of gyms and salons and some of those things to still reopen, but did keep the mass gathering restriction of no more than 10. You can see this is from the governor's website, kind of what the phase 1.5 is. So essentially what that does is move everything back to where presumably now she wouldn't move into phase 2 until June 1st, and then phase 3 until June 15th, and then phase out until June 29th. So that does kind of impact a number of reopening measures in our community. Obviously, the biggest one is the pool. From what we're looking at, we were looking at just essentially doing a reopening of June 1st with the 90-person restriction at that time. Now that gets moved back to June 15th. I don't see how we can open the pool fully until that 90-person restriction. So I would think that our kind of regular pool opening should be pushed back to June 15th at this point. Did have a conversation with Barb, our pool manager, last week. We are working on a strategy, and what we're proposing, however, is from that June 1st to June 15th period that we can find a way, working within guidelines and working with the health department, to be able to offer swim classes during those first couple weeks so that we can distance everybody in the pool but still be able to offer lessons and classes during those first 2 weeks. So that way we're able to offer something, but I still don't think we can do the full reopening until June 15th. So do commissioners have any thoughts on that, proceeding forward in that way? I think if everyone's on board, we are looking at starting to fill the pool tomorrow. So we will start moving towards getting the pool ready and operational, getting our lifeguards certified and trained and everything like that. But I don't think we're looking at the June 1st opening that we had hoped, but still trying to offer, excuse me, something June 1st.
No, I think if Barb's in agreement with that, I think lessons, it works out perfect. You just schedule lessons throughout the day and, start using it then. I guess the only question after June 15th, we need to take a look at the adjusting, memberships or do something different this year just because it's a weird year and half season or whatever it's going to be when we finally open as far as, I think I'm leaning towards just making it as cheap as easy as it can for people, and because it's going to be such a shortened season.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe even change the rates. I don't know how everyone feels about that, but the amount of money it's going to bring is going to be minimal with the time frame. You can't charge a full membership, but maybe not even have memberships. Maybe just have a real nominal fee for the remaining weeks that we have. $1 or $2. I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be. I mean, just kind of the give back to the community this year. Maybe it's kind of I've thought about it a little bit, and maybe we need to do something. Think about something like that. Everyone's been cooped up forever, and it's shortened season, and just make it as easy to access for everybody and enjoy, and not maybe worry about the money part of it so much this year, just for what we're dealing with. I don't know. Just a thought.
Aaron?
I like that idea of making it cheaper. I don't know what the proper number would be, but I do like the idea of making it a little easier for people to access and a little cheaper for the shortened season.
Because we usually open up when?
We typically try to shoot for Memorial Day weekend,
Next.
which would be this weekend, or the end of this weekend. That date is always kind of hit or miss based on what the weather is, the temperatures this time of year. So
we would be, 3-4 weeks behind?
yeah.
And we can figure out a proration or cheap it up, whichever.
Well, what Barb think about that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, as far as, we want to
Well, so what?
make money on it, but it is what it is. But it's
Right.
a different year, so it wouldn't take away from anything they're doing. But
Sure. Well, there's kind of two sides of the coin. Is that I think you're right. When we first looked at the rate schedule, what we kind of said was during that first 2 weeks, where we were going to have to kind of limit the swimming to shorter hours and sessions and things like that. We thought it would make sense just to have the admission price from $4 to $2 during those first couple weeks, and then rates would kind of go back to normal after we got out of the weird structure of it. At that time, we didn't think it was necessary to adjust the the family pass and the individual pass, because we're looking at basically 2 weeks of difference. I think the family pass is already kind of a steal. It's a very good deal. Now that we're looking at probably 2 weeks further from that time frame, I would probably agree that we would want to prorate that or reduce it in some capacity. What that would be, I guess we could kind of go back and take a look at it, unless commission has any discretion or direction on that. But I think we would feel comfortable if the commission feels comfortable with kind of reducing the pass. Or
How many days is the pool usually open? Like last year, how many days?
So it typically opens again kind of the last week in May, and then we will go into, it just kind of depends based on what the season is like, because we go into late August or at least September at the
Right before
latest.
school,
Before
Yeah.
school starts, yeah.
It shuts down, so.
Gary, what do you think about?
Well, with the virus, there's gonna be more people short on money than normal, so we gotta discount it some.
I agree with the commissioners, and Andrew, I know you'll do a good job there and plan it, so we'll turn it over to you, and then you can report to us as you see fit, so. Okay, we move on to item number 7, report city manager. Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. A few items from me, obviously we've got a kind of a busy week with the cemetery, going out with this being Memorial Day weekend. Joni did get new carpet installed on the chapel steps out there at the cemetery that look fantastic. She's basically string trimming and mowing all week in anticipation of the Memorial Day crowd. Although the VFW is not going to be holding a Memorial Day event this weekend. They made that decision late last week, so, but event always draws a sizable crowd. Josh was able to install the new kiosk at the cemetery today, so that last kiosk went kaput. What's it been, 3 months? It's been a long time, and yeah, we had to order a specialty kiosk, had to ship from Taiwan, and they do not have express shipping from Taiwan, so it's taken some time to get here. It's finally here. Josh did a good job getting that installed today after updating it and everything last week. Tomorrow, Joni will be working with city staff to install 2 new benches at the ossuarium site. So we got the ossuarium, and then we kind of built out a little section for a couple benches there. Those came in kind of late December, early December. It was kind of too cold to put them up, so now we're going to be putting them up just before Memorial Day weekend. So the cemetery is going to get some kind of nice new additions this week.
Any questions?
Is it in Chinese?
I don't know. But crews, our street crews this week excavated and poured new concrete at the Holiday Inn frontage road. Everything went really well there. That's kind of the last tie-in piece at the Holiday Inn, so that road should be good to go there. On last Thursday, the city planted 41 trees for Arbor Day along Northwest Tech's property line with the city, south of their softball fields. Obviously, we'd like to thank the Sherman County Community Foundation for funding. They funded those trees through a Community Foundation grant, and thanks for Northwest Tech for working with us there. They're very tiny now, but they will be.
I thought those trees were supposed to be bigger, like 4 foot tall, and we got 2 foot tall trees.
They were supposed to be 5 gallon, and I think they came in maybe 2 or 3 gallon. They did come in smaller.
Did we get it? I guess it's grant money, so it's not really.
Yeah, I think that it was kind of. I don't know. I think the supply chain wasn't fantastic in the midst of all of this. So
Are they cedars or?
They are Blue Point junipers, so they are juniper trees. Supposed to get up to about 15 feet tall, and so we planted them about 10 feet apart along that natural walking trail south of the ball fields there. So
Dale Schilling wanted me to tell you he has about 300 cedars for sale yet.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. He brought in about 1,200 here a while back.
Oh, wow. He's got a forest, huh?
Pardon?
He's got a forest, huh?
Well, he brings them in every year from eastern Kansas.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Motel 7, they continue to do kind of site work or site kind of leveling the ground out there. The Motel 7 sign did come down today, so I think most of the demo out there is done. It's definitely addition by subtraction out there if you've been by. Then on the street project, so we have a main line pour tomorrow, after which they'll be doing some sidewalk work, some saw and seal on the streets between Caldwell and Broadway on 15th. From there, we're hoping to have that section open middle of next week, and then they will jump down to 15th Street from Broadway to Main. They'll be on that for the next few weeks. So that project's coming along well. Pretty happy with how it's going there too. So that is all I have in my report. I would stand for any questions at this time.
Any questions for Andrew?
How's the water treatment plant media coming along? When's that supposed to get done?
It has not arrived yet. I think we're hoping in the next couple weeks. But yeah, we're still waiting on delivery there.
Are you kind of taking over any loose ends or with Suzanne being gone now as far as calls or following up with 24/7 stuff and just anything that might have been going on there? Are you kind of the point person now, or?
Yes, so I have been kind of forwarding some of those emails, responding to some of those calls. So yeah, for right now, it's fallen to me. Suzanne was in on Friday, kind of getting some things out of the Welcome Center, and she was taking calls on Friday even. She was responding to a pet grooming place that had called and was trying to get some loan funding. So she was working right up to her last day, but at this point, yeah, I think we're trying to direct everyone to me for the time being until we get this sorted out.
What is the latest on the 24/7 as far as their thoughts and timelines and?
Still moving forward on both as far as I know. I spoke with Mark a couple weeks ago and kind of told him, hey, we need to have kind of honest conversations with each other right now in the midst of all of this as far as your intent with your project. Still intending to do his remodel. Sounds like the food vendor is still on board to do both parts of those projects. So still seems to be, obviously his timeline is a bit up in the air right now. I think everything's disrupted as far as him being able to secure labor and secure materials and things like that. So he said it may not be, I think he'd hoped to have it bid out in the middle of May. I don't think we're there yet.
He was thinking construction next year anyhow, wasn't he?
No,
Or
actually, they were supposed to
Did-
break this year.
did he move it up? I thought it was next year, but
I would have to double check
I think
on his
didn't he had say that he
timeline.
would try to break construction this year? In fact, I was going to ask that, thanks, JD. But the last time that I had a communication with them, they were still planning on,
that'd be good. That'd be great.
yeah, it'd look, if we can get some activity going out there, that'd be great.
There's nothing on our end that they're waiting on, or he's wanting. I mean, he's okay with how the entrance, and that wasn't ideal, but it was good enough where, I mean, that's not the holdup anymore. We're on past that, and
Right.
it's kind of all on his side now.
Right, we're gonna have some frontage road work to do out there, and we're kind of working on that
Okay.
now. But we're gonna be done far beyond,
Yeah.
far ahead of
Good.
that, so.
It'll look
Yes,
really good
he's-
out there when all that gets done. I mean, with the new hotel and everything, that'd be good.
I will follow up with commissioners on the timeline as far as that, but I guess just to say everything's still a go as far as I know with the
Right.
project, and so.
Okay, that's it, guys, all right, we move on to commissioners' reports. JD?
Just like to thank Josh, I guess, for all the production we got going on here. Good work on that. There's a lot to put together, so I think I've been leaning on him pretty heavily with all this. So, but good work there. And just want to acknowledge Suzanne's efforts over the years as well, and wish her well. That's all I got.
I want to thank the county commissioners again for coming tonight to our meeting this evening, and with all of us able to move forward with something and hopefully into something great. Also, I had a couple people kind of going back to our streaming policy that we had approved last meeting. A couple people kind of approached me with concerns with both regarding the ability to make corrections to the video and also with the muting of the comments on YouTube. I was given, and I didn't bring it with me, but one of them had given me a copy of a lawsuit that had actually been filed in another state a couple years ago about muting comments on a Facebook feed. I have no idea what transpired with that lawsuit. I just know that it was filed at one point in time. Could we just have maybe Jake just kind of look into that, just to make sure that everything's kosher from a legal standpoint, both with the ability to correct video and to mute comments on the videos when they're posted?
Sure, I'd be happy to follow up with Jake. I don't know the specifics of the case that you're talking about, like you said. It might be different if they muted comments and there was no other recourse for providing. I don't know if that was the case or
Yeah,
not.
I don't
you know.
remember exactly, and
Sure.
it could probably very well be different circumstances.
Sure.
But it's just, it's worth looking into just to make sure that our attorney says that we're okay with that, I think.
Didn't we have a little problem, of course, at the last meeting, didn't we, Josh, too, that it kind of got muted, no fault, just because of what was going on in here, but anything that you want to add to that, Josh?
So most of the muting of comments where there have been lawsuits, it's because they have allowed comments and then somebody just goes in and just starts deleting them. There's several sites out there that you can pay for archival, even if somebody goes in and deletes their own comment or an administrator deletes somebody's comment without notifying them and things like that. That's where most of the lawsuits come from. We get vendors calling us all the time to try to do things like that. But if you don't allow the comments outright, then, and you have that in a policy, there's not much that anyone can do about it. But that's kind of where most of it stems from, is when somebody has went in and deleted somebody's comment without a good reason why.
That is an important distinction. You could be exactly right on that. If you have comments and then someone goes in and, that doesn't look good for the city, delete that, and then you're kind of picking and choosing the comments, as opposed to just kind of flatly saying, we don't accept comments on this platform, but here are the other ways that we do. I don't know, but
I think we have once we especially get back to open meetings, a perfect avenue for people to come in person and make whatever comment they want to make in public. And I think that serves its purpose well. So,
but I will speak with Jake and I will let you know.
Thank you.
JJ?
I don't have anything today. I done my question with Andrew, so.
Gary?
Northwestkansas.org. I know, like in some of the surrounding counties, they're handing out food baskets to people in need. Is that something that Sherman County should be doing? I don't know quite how it's funded or anything, but it's something that maybe should be looked into. Another thing, economic impact protocol survey like Russell County's doing. They got it set up to figure out what businesses are in need of government help and because of this virus. Is that something that should be looked into here too?
So I think what Gary's alluding to is that the governor has a $9 million state grant, CDBG, that municipalities can actually apply for to help, businesses on Main Street or for any other, background. Money also, I think, provides for meal programs. And so what Russell County did, they just established kind of a questionnaire, they applied for the CDBG, then they formulated a structured, questionnaire like, some business would come, hey, have you applied for a PPP, under the COVID-19? Have you had any other assistance? And you answer a bunch of questions. So they use that, to qualify and quantify the amount of businesses on Main Street. I don't know, it seems like it might be a good little thing to look into. I don't know how extensive of work load it is to be able to qualify for that, but I think, you know, Russell County has a good model of, and they've applied for it, but, you know, $9 million out there.
Well, I know that that it's been applied for, those grants, cause it's 300,000 for the city and it's 300,000 for the county. And I know those are getting applied for,
Mhm.
and they haven't been awarded yet. But I know that they've been applied for City of Goodland and Sherman County.
Mhm. Well, that's good, and then they can, should convey that information to Andrew, so that he has kind of a, you know, an understanding, and both, I'm sure if it's been applied for, you know, the city and the county, then county commissioner will probably get a model of what it consists of, and so we need to get some information to Andrew.
Andrew knows what I'm talking about. With Donna.
Right. And I don't think that they actually applied though, because I think
They're working on, they are in that process,
mhm.
and Donna says it will get done.
Yeah.
Cause there's somebody over in Hoxie or somewhere that way that's helping her write those.
Mhm. Yeah, oh, that's Northwest Kansas Planning, and so that's Randy Raby's organization. I did touch base with Randy at the start of this week as well on this. Yeah, so the CDBG grant funds, there are kind of some public hearings, some resolutions that would need to be passed before those funds could be dispersed. So we're still trying to get a feel on some of it, but I don't think we qualify for any of the food programs because I think those are limited to communities 50,000 and up. Gary, did you say Russell applied for that, or was that
On that
different?
food deal,
Yeah.
like, Atwood and Rollins, Cheyenne County and Thomas County, I think is all getting it.
I think you might be, you're referring to more food bank, just operations.
North, yeah. It's Live Good North. Live Well, NWK.org.
Okay, so that's kind of a separate
Yeah.
thing, but yeah. So yeah, the only thing we would qualify for would be the CDBG funds for businesses, and we're looking at that.
So I think everything else has been addressed. I was, you know, wondering about the 24/7, and thanks, Josh, for working on the kiosk out there, and as the commissioners have said for what you're doing, you know, to keep us afloat here. And so, without any further action, I'd like to make a motion to recess into executive session under the authority of KSA 7543-19B6 for preliminary discussion relating to the acquisition of real property. I would like the city manager and the 5 commissioners for a period of 15 minutes. All right. And the time is 6:03. Favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Turn off your mics. Call this meeting back to order. At this time, I'd just like for Andrew to say a few words about what is getting ready to transpire.
Sure. So the city has been working with property owner in the around our Goodland Municipal Airport for the acquisition of approximately 77 acres. The city needs to acquire this land as part of our runway 523 reconstruction and lengthening project that is set to take place next year. So this land acquisition is necessary for that project to happen. And as we kind of discussed at previous meetings, thanks to the CARES Act, the city will not be responsible for any portion of this cost of land acquisition. It is typically 90% FAA funded, 10% city matched. As part of the CARES Act, the federal government did allocate additional resources to airports so that it is 100% FAA funded and 0% city match. So action this evening by the city commission would be to accept the land or to acquire the land for the contract price, and the city would then acquire that land, which is essentially the northeast section of town, northeast section of the crosswind runway. So those 77 acres. So I believe Commissioner Thompson then, or Vice Mayor Thompson has a motion that will enact that, and do recommend approval of the city commission of that land acquisition.
All right, at this time, I will approve or entertain a motion on the acquisition of the purchase of the Davis Family Trust. Commissioner Thompson?
I move to approve the purchase agreement between the City of Goodland and the William A. Davis Revocable Trust for the purchase of Goodland Municipal Airport Track 28 in the amount of $143,000 contingent upon FAA approval.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Thompson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Commissioner Howard. Any questions or concerns? Mary, read the roll.
Rumble,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much. At this particular time, any other items of concern that you need to address? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Bromby. Do I have a second? I have a Commissioner Ferris. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Good meeting, guys.